Hi there. I want to show you something that feels like it's pulled straight from science fiction, but it's actually, believe it or not, the key to understanding the AI that is completely reshaping our world.
Our whole journey today starts with this really strange website.
So when you land on this site, this is what you see. Pages and pages that look like, well, like a total mess. Just a random, incomprehensible jumble of letters. But here's the thing. This isn't random at all. This is part of a system that is designed to contain every possible page of text that can exist.
Think about what that actually means. Somewhere on this website is the complete text of your favorite book, and then another version where the hero fails. There's a page that's just gibberish except for one perfect sentence describing exactly what you had for breakfast this morning. It contains every poem, every song, every legal document, every line of code, and every shopping list that could ever be written. It's everything.
So this brings up a pretty big question, right? What is the point of a library that has all the knowledge in the universe, but it's drowning in an infinite sea of complete nonsense? How could you ever find the one meaningful book among quadrillions of useless ones? Stick with me, because the answer to that question is one of the best ways I know to really understand artificial intelligence today.
To get there, we actually have to go back in time, way, way back, long before the internet was even a spark of an idea.
You see, this website, which was made by a programmer named Jonathan Bazille, is really just bringing an old idea to life. It comes from a 1941 short story by the brilliant Argentine writer Jorge Luis Borges. He imagined the entire universe as a library, just an endless series of hexagonal rooms all lined with bookshelves.
And just like the website, his library contained everything. Not just every book ever written, but every book that could be written. As he put it, the library held the detailed history of the future and the true story of your death, but also countless false versions of those same stories. The librarians in his story literally go insane searching for a single book of truth, some kind of master catalog to make sense of the chaos, but almost all of them just find gibberish. It's this incredible illustration of a problem. Having all the information is not the same thing as having wisdom.
Okay, so what on earth does an 80-year-old story about a crazy library have to do with large language models? You know, the AIs that we're all using today.
This right here, this is the whole key. It's a tiny difference in a single word, but it changes everything. Borges's library is a universe of all possible texts, every random combination of letters, no matter how nonsensical. But an LLM like ChatGPT, it operates in a universe of plausible texts. It hasn't just memorized the library, it has learned the rules, the grammar, the style, the feeling that makes a text sound human. It lives in the world of what could believably come next.
And because of that one little distinction, this literary concept from 1941 is probably the single best way to visualize what these incredibly complex AIs are actually doing. They aren't thinking in the human sense, they're just expert navigators in a vast library of plausibility.
So how does an AI build this universe of plausible language? And how does it learn to find its way around?
Well, the answer is this concept called latent space. Now, don't let the technical jargon scare you off. Just think of latent space as the AI's secret map. It's not a dictionary that just holds definitions. It's this huge, multidimensional map that charts the relationships between words and ideas. So on this map, it knows that the distance and direction from king to queen is the same as from man to woman. It knows that to change a sentence from a happy tone to a sad tone, you have to make a specific move on the map.
So, how does it build this incredible map? Well, first, the AI basically reads the internet, a massive, staggering amount of text. From all that reading, it starts to discover connections, patterns, grammar, and style. Then, it encodes all of those relationships onto its latent space map. And finally, when you give it a prompt, it finds your starting point on the map, and it charts a course, just predicting the most plausible next word, and the next, and the next, creating this coherent path through the world of language.
This brings us to a really mind-bending idea. A paper on this topic put it perfectly. The AI doesn't care if what it's saying is true. It doesn't have intentions. Its only goal is to follow the demands of the story you've started. It follows the path of narrative necessity. So if you start a fairy tale, it continues the fairy tale. If you ask a technical question, it puts on the voice of an expert.
And you know, this is why the word hallucination is so misleading when we talk about AI errors. The AI isn't seeing things that aren't there. It's confabulating. It's doing what any good storyteller does. When it runs out of facts, it just fills in the gaps with plausible inventions to keep the story going. It's not lying. It's just continuing the narrative with the most likely details from its map.
So what does all of this mean for us as we start using these incredible tools more and more in our daily lives?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. We have to stop thinking of LLMs as some kind of oracle of truth. They are, at their very core, the most powerful fiction machines ever created. They are masters of plausibility, not reality. They can be amazingly useful, for sure, but we have to talk to them knowing that they are expert storytellers, not all-knowing librarians.
Borges himself actually touched on the sort of existential dread this whole idea can create. In his story, the librarians just fall into despair, realizing that if every book already exists, then what's the point of writing? The act becomes meaningless. And that's a pretty chilling thought, especially today.
And that leads us to this final, really provocative question. In an age where an AI can generate any plausible text on command, what is the role of human creativity? If the library of all possible stories is already complete, what's left for us to do?
But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. Perhaps our role is just shifting. Maybe it's less about creating something totally new from scratch and more about searching for something that actually matters. To be the ones with the taste, the curiosity, and the humanity to ask the right questions, to navigate this infinite library, and to pull out that single, meaningful sentence from the endless noise. Maybe our job now is to be the librarians of meaning.
See ya!